I ended up on welfare, 5 kids. My name is Marcia, and I am a resilient soul. Got my GED, that was awesome. Just like something in me opened up.
I am Colette, and I am resilient. I had just gotten out of an abusive marriage. I just built a house about a year ago. I live by myself, and I'm happy with that.
These resilient souls are part of a project that has been 20 years in the making.
The Resilient Souls Project is a photo exhibit, and it's also a literary exhibit. It is a follow-up to an exhibition I did 20 years ago, and that was called Resilient Souls, Young Women's Portraits and Words. So here we are 20 years later. Personally, I wanted to see how they were doing. And I thought other people would be curious too.
I never thought I had a story in me. You know, nobody asked me about my story. Never really asked me about me. And Resilient Souls just give women a chance to tell their stories.
The Resilient Souls exhibit was held on the campus of Maryville University, and many of the original participants were there to celebrate.
I think it's a really perfect fit for the college population in particular because they're experiencing disappointments and struggles for the very first time. So a lot of times we all know life does not go the way we planned, and it feels like they can't get through it. So this show is so perfect because it shows shining examples of people who have and who have really thrived in those situations.
My message to young women is to not have a lot of babies unless you have a support system. You know, as I'm telling my story, maybe my story can help somebody else and they might become resilient and overcome a lot of obstacles themselves.
20 years ago, young women were asked to write a story about conquering their struggles, which then became photo essays.
And you have to remember, back in the 90s, we did not have social media, right? So people were not talking about personal issues like they are today. So it was very courageous, I think, of them to do it in a public forum. My inspiration on this project came from so many girls I was working with teaching photography and writing and having so many struggles at such a young age, you know, things like self-harm, eating disorders, you know, dealing with HIV. So the people that had agreed to be the original subjects, they were at a place in their lives that they felt good about what they had come through.
I was born with muscular dystrophy, and my definition of resilience would be someone that doesn't let things break them, being able to overcome adversity.
Recently, these same women revisited the past through their original essays and were then asked to write their first response.
When I saw the pictures and when I read over the essay that I wrote 20 years ago, it brought a lot more up than I thought it was going to. It was very emotional, and I remembered back to that time in my life and how young I was and vulnerable and, you know, still hopeful at that point. And it kind of motivated me even a little more today. It's like, wow, I need to get some of that back.
It was just amazing to see me 20 years ago and to show my kids, you know, this is your mom 20 years ago. Ain't that awesome? But it made me feel really good to be part of something.
Opening night of the exhibit included a chance to read personal essays aloud to an audience.
Looking back at my 14-year-old self, I'm in awe at her enthusiasm and her hope. And it was because of this optimism and drive that I feel accomplished today. Because of this hopeful little teenager, today I'm a happily married wife and a mom living the American dream.
Reading it out loud tonight, I had no idea how emotional I would get. I was on the verge of crying at every point. And it's just you're pouring out your soul and then reading it back and knowing that you wrote that, and it's very freeing.
Writing is really cathartic in that it allows the person to put together the thoughts that are swirling around in their head and put it on paper. And it allows them to then read back through it and identify what's really going on. And then the awesome thing is, in the end, they can kind of write the next chapter.
Whatever the next chapter brings, These participants have some sage advice for others.
Always look for other ways to achieve a goal.
Always listen to yourself, because your gut feeling or your intuition means everything.
Your struggles are real. You know, just keep in mind that somebody's out here is listening to you. We there for you.
Never give up, because there's always so much more life to live.
And let's just keep building each other up and inspiring one another to get through things together.